It happened in December 1941, in the freezing darkness of the North Atlantic, when a team of British commandos received an order that sounded almost impossible. Sail into a winter hurricane, cross the most violent waters in Europe, and strike Nazi-occupied Norway. These men were part of Operation Anklet, a small diversionary raid meant to confuse the Germans during Christmas week. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared them for the storm waiting in the Norwegian Sea. Winds roared like engines tearing apart the sky. Waves rose higher than the ship's mast. Ice formed on every surface, and the temperature cut through their uniforms like knives. Most men would have turned back, but these were Commandos volunteers who had trained for missions no one else would take. They pushed forward, gripping frozen rails as the ship slammed into walls of water. Several were thrown off their feet, one nearly washed overboard. Still, they refused to break. By the time they reached the islands of Lofoten, the hurricane had not eased. It had grown stronger. Visibility was almost zero. The sea was a boiling, living thing, trying to crush them before the Germans ever could. But the moment they made landfall, everything changed. The chaos of the storm turned into the silent focus of battle. Snow whipped across their faces as they advanced through the dark, guided only by memory and instinct. Every shadow could hide an ambush. Every step could reveal a patrol. Yet the commandos moved like ghosts. They struck German positions with precision, destroying communication lines, sinking supply vessels, and capturing prisoners before the enemy even understood what was happening. Local Norwegians, who had spent months under occupation, watched these soaked, frostbitten, half-frozen men fight with a determination that felt almost unreal. But the storm that had nearly killed them on the way in was now becoming deadly on the way out. The German Navy was closing in. The weather was worsening again. Every minute they stayed meant the risk of being trapped in Norway with no escape. So the commandos executed a flawless withdrawal, burning fuel dumps, blowing up equipment, vanishing back into the hurricane as if the storm itself were their ally. When their ships finally returned to Britain, the men looked battered, exhausted, and frozen to the bone. But they had succeeded where logic said they should have failed. They had raided an occupied coastline in the middle of a hurricane. They had survived seas that could swallow steel. They had outwitted German forces on their own territory. And they had proven something powerful, that courage isn't loud or boastful or shining. Sometimes, courage is a handful of men walking into the worst storm on Earth, because their mission demands it.